a huge gap in healthcare for children living in poverty. And the story that took her heart and breath away was in the community doing some research. She discovered a family where a mother had walked 4 miles in the heat down in Homestead to get help for her child who had no oxygen because her oxygen machine had been disconnected by a neighbor. And by the time she got there, the child had died. Oh. So Kyle set about creating this model of healthcare. She got it licensed in Tallahassee, mortgaged her home, and began this healthcare facility for children with medically complex illness in poverty who have very, very limited access to healthcare. Most of those children before Patches might have gone to the nearest ER, which this mother did, and been ER in and out. What the center has grown into now is a vibrant setting for children. It's Medicaid funded. So the issue is that if you're a young family and you have insurance, you're above Medicaid, you have no coverage for being at Patches. So Patches now is a center where up to 75 children can come a day.
Amazing.
Every day, 12 hours a day. They have a fleet of 4 buses that are medically outfitted for children with challenges. An EMT will go on the bus to pick up the children from wherever they are in South Dade. This is located, by the way, in Florida City. But they go all over to pick up the kids, bringing them to Patches for all their medical nursing care, their therapy. A teacher, Dade County teacher, has finally been allocated and does the most amazing job. And they get nutrition, they get socialization, and most of all, they get love. And that love flourishes in these children. They are cared for with by each nurse and therapist like family. And you can see it. You can see it in the kids, from the most challenged to the ones who will eventually graduate from the center, because there are many, and take their place amongst their normal peer group.
That's incredible. And we have a video, actually. I mean, nothing shares quite the passion, the purpose, and the care as this video. Apparently it went viral. So we're going to go ahead and let our viewers take a look at that video now.
Let it snow outside is cold. Is that funny? Breathe, you're so red.
How wonderful, how wonderful. So you just got to hear a story about Ellie.
Her name is Ellie. Her father is a pastor in the local community. She has one of the rarest diseases known, genetic diseases. There aren't enough of them in the world to even fund any kind of research.
Wow. Her smile is priceless.
It's priceless.
I could see now why it went viral, because her joy, it's almost like, her situation, to find joy in the toughest of moments. I mean, her smile says everything. It captures your heart.
It does. And looking at this again, and I've looked at it 1,000 times, it still brings tears to my eyes, because it is just so precious, and it is so reflective of the kind of interaction that happens at Patches. And if there's time, I'd like to tell you about more kids, more stories, because I think it's stories that tell everything.
I absolutely want to hear the stories, and I agree with you. I always tell everyone, especially when it comes to nonprofit charities, sometimes they focus on, the mission, the vision, and I always tell them it's the stories that really make the difference and tug at the heartstrings. So please share some of those stories.
So I could go on and on. There's so many stories, but there are 3 stories that really, I think, illustrate the purpose, the mission of Patches. One of the stories is about a young mother. Her name is Lynette McRae, and I say that because she has already spoken. Lynette was 17 when she found herself pregnant and gave birth to a 24-week child, preemie, at Jackson. She lived down south and went to Cope High and was faced with a newborn baby. She was a single parent, no dad in sight. Lynette went every day from down in Florida City all the way up to Jackson after school, after working a job to earn some money. She would get there at night and sleep over to be with her baby, who was a 24-weeker and critically ill. He needed heart surgery. He faced all the difficulties of a 24-weeker. She would then come back to start her day again. What happened was that she almost lost the baby. He had heart surgery, but Department of Human Services didn't see her coming in. She didn't sign in, and they threatened to take the baby away.
Oh, my goodness.
So Lynette was faced with this decision. Now she had her baby. He was eventually discharged at 6 months old with a wheelchair. She was told he would never walk again. She had no income. She had no way of supporting him. And when I spoke to her, I interviewed her, she said to me, my darkest moment was standing there with my baby, trying to figure out how I was going to fund his diapers. How was I going to do this? And someone referred her to Patches. She took the baby to Patches. He was 6 months old, with the wheelchair, very delayed. Anthony is his name. Anthony was at Patches. He thrived. The child who would never walk, walked. And he was discharged at age 4 to a local preschool program. He then went on to the next level, elementary school. And in middle school, he was seen by a person from St. Brendan's who was scouting for their football team.
No.
He played football with permission from his cardiologist. And he went on to become the captain of the St. Brendan's team on full scholarship and was recruited to go and play football in Connecticut during his college years.
What a success story.
So that is the kind of thing that, and wait, the biggest success of all of this was that his mom, who had actually been given scholarships in high school, went on to work at the power station down south, and then went on to get her degree in business applications. So the story was a twofold triumph of how a woman, a young woman, could survive, could grow, could become the person that she became, and her son did that too. And it couldn't have happened without Patches.
Just life-changing.
Life-changing.
How long have you been with Patches?
So I started volunteering in 2008, and I know I walked out of there thinking, I have to do something to make a difference for this organization. And fortunately for me, I have many wonderful friends in the community, and we got together, and as a group, we began to get more and more involved. And then we formed Heartbeats for Patches, which allowed us to take our fundraising and our friend raising to a different level. And that's another whole story.
I like that fundraising and friend raising.
It was the biggest component.
I don't think I've heard that term before, and I like it.
Yeah. Friend raising, we had to bring the name to the community north. These kids are so vulnerable. They don't have anyone to speak for them. But what they're getting at Patches is life-saving and life-changing and transformative. So it was an important mission for all of us, and we've had the most amazing success.
Tell us another. You said you had a couple stories, so we heard one, and you have a couple others.
So the other one, I have two more. One is about a little boy who has hypercerebral palsy, which means his limbs fly in every direction. He can't control them. He can't speak. He can't move. He's completely dependent. His name is Jonathan, and he has stolen my heart from years back. So he can't, as I said, he cannot talk. His speech therapist realized that this was a perfectly normal little boy trapped inside his head. And she petitioned for an assisted digital device for him, which means it's like a laptop screen with symbols, and it is controlled by his eyes. And she taught him to talk through this screen. He has the most marvelous sense of humor. He's now a young teenage boy. He jokes with the nurses. He teases them. He's there every day. His passion is swimming with the dolphins, and very fortunate.
I saw this on Instagram.
Yes, you saw it on Instagram, right? And you can bribe him with that, but the joy that this kid gets out of being in the water and just interacting with the dolphins from Island Dolphin Care is just amazing. But for me, of course, it's that he hasn't been written off, and his mom Lola, said in a video that we did, my Jonathan is an also person. And what do you say to that? Anyway, so that's Jonathan.
I mean, each of the stories gets me completely choked up because, I'm just someone that really believes that in our darkest moments, we find hope, and the hope that you're giving to these families and to these mothers that, probably say to themselves, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And you give them an opportunity for them to also get their life back on track, to make a long-term purpose for their life. I mean, 100%, wow.
100%.
I thought I understood exactly what you did, I'll be honest with you. And it's even so much bigger than I thought.
It's so big. It is so big. The waves, the ramifications, every little drop counts, changing people's lives. And that's what this does. The third story is a young family who, the mom is a teacher. They have a child. I think they have two children. The child, the baby, has multiple illnesses, multiple conditions, has to be on an oxygen tube all the time. He's oxygen dependent. And they came to Patches because she is a teacher. They are not Medicaid, but that doesn't give them any opportunity to have this kind of service with their private insurance. Without her teacher salary, they were then really struggling. So she came to Patches, and Patches took them on. She went back to work as a teacher, and her life continues. She can help support her family. The part about this that was also so, you don't understand what goes on with people and their families and their children and what the implications are of all of this. One day, he was late, and a couple of hours late, and Kyle Smith called the family, the mom, and said, why isn't the baby here? And she said, well, we have this machine at home. And what the machine does is it modulates his oxygen intake, and we can save money on the oxygen. So we start the day with that. What did Kyle do? They invested in that same piece of equipment for the child at Patches so that he wouldn't have to miss out on time spent there.
That's incredible.
It's just insights into people's lives and struggles and how Patches never fails to come forward and help the families and the kids.
What I love about this story is, I mean, in 20 years, you have seen some of these babies that have come in and that have gotten the care, like, the story that you started off with, that are now adults or entering high school and college and having lives and have been able to. I mean, it's just, what a legacy.
Yeah,
I think legacy is just one of those most important when it comes to leadership and to charities. And what legacy do you leave behind? Tell me, when you think of you as a person, because I know how caring and loving you are. Describe yourself as a leader.
Oh, I don't describe myself as a leader. I describe myself as being so fortunate to have a group of people around me, and it's grown and grown because of what this is, that support and have developed and pushed this forward in such an incredible way. I never dreamed that we could get to the point that we're at. Uh-huh. And to that point, we have wonderful community partners. Baptist Hospital has been there for Patches for so long and is so supportive in so many ways, in sponsoring and helping, and amazing. The Leonard Home Development Company also, Florida Blue has also stepped up. We have wonderful people, and we are raising funds now to build a campus in Florida City that will house more kids. One of the issues we haven't spoken about is, and it's a very big one, is what happens to long-term patients. We have probably about 10 children who are, and this has happened, who are there until they're 21. After 21, they cannot legally be at Patches anymore. They have nowhere to go. And this has been their home since they were maybe 6 months old, 8 months old, 2 years old. And these children are so severely challenged, they will always need care. Right now in South Dade, there's nowhere for these children to go. So one of the goals of the new campus is to continue to have a medical daycare center, to provide a place for the children with long-term needs so they're not kicked out at 21. They could be there until they're young adults, perhaps 30. To create a school where children with medical needs, because many of these children can go to school but don't get the treatments that they need during the day to enable them to stay in school. It's a big problem. The schools can't provide for all of the children and their needs.
I was going to ask you how you interface with the schools, because if they're with you for that time period, are the classes coming to them? Like, what does your team make up of, medical and teaching, or, I'm just curious what the typical day might look like for a child at Patches.
So interestingly, for many years, we struggled to get Dade County to respond and to send a teacher, even though they really ought to have. Mm-hmm. Now we have a fabulous lady who comes, I think she comes every day. She works after a circle time in the morning with the younger kids. Mm. She works with every single kid who is eligible to be worked with. We have children who are blind and deaf, and she will work with that child. Every single child has time with the Dade County school teacher. We also have, and this is one of the things we fundraise for, paid not by the county but by fundraising, a school teacher, a preschool teacher, who is there for the preschoolers, and that's most of the kids, every single day, doing all the things, bringing them up to par, milestones, trying to help them maintain milestones, because one of the missions of Patches is to treat the whole child. So we don't want a child to be discharged or we call it graduating.
I like that.
They graduate when they're ready, but we don't want them to graduate just healthy. We want them to graduate healthy and on a par with their peers, to their each and everyone's potential. And with that, the child goes out and doesn't have another hurdle to face. So that's why we fundraise. We have this preschool teacher who is wonderful with the kids. And, there are many of the kids who are not necessarily as advanced as Jonathan is with his digital speaking tool. But even on the simplest level, just to be able to push a button and say yes or no, it starts from there. Or kids who can't communicate. And whether it's the therapist or the teacher, that teaching process will continue. And so that's what we do. And the kids who are under Miss Maria will have her attention the whole day. And the kids who are with the teacher, the Dade County school teacher, will have their special sessions with her.
I imagine it's very expensive. I mean, when I think of charity organizations, to be able to, you said 75 is the max,
Maximum,
right?
yeah.
That you could hold, but to be able to have the medical, the team, the staff, the volunteers of varying skills, because a lot of them must be, I imagine, certified nurses and caretaker. I mean, it's a whole nother set of skills and expenses,
Sure.
which I imagine can get very expensive, varying on who you're taking care of in that
100%.
period of time, or how complicated their case is.
It is very complicated, and there are state laws that determine how many kids and how many nurses you have to have per kid. That's a continual state of flux because kids come, kids go. So one of the challenges for Patches is funding their nursing program, because you have to have what you have to have. And you don't always you either have too many kids or you have too little kids. So there's this balance of keeping the state happy, keeping the kids well cared for, and they are so well cared for, as you could see in that video.
Oh, I mean, the video captures, video captures it all, and the stories, and I have just truly enjoyed getting to know you, Jen, and I feel like I've gotten to know your heart and have fallen in love with the charity just from everything that you've shared with me. We have a few minutes left in the show, and I want you to tell our viewers how they can make a difference, how they can make a donation, how they can get a hold of you, share your website, and what I call your 30-second commercial.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily, and it's been a pleasure to be with you today. So there are so many ways to help. Should I be looking in that? Oh,
there you go. Give us your 30-second commercial.
Our websites are either through the Patches Village, and it's patchesvillage.org, or patchespec.org, and we have the most fabulous wish list of equipment and things for the children that you could simply sign up to help with. We'd be happy to help you. If you go to the website, you will see who to contact. You'll see phone numbers. There's also heartbeatsforpatches.org, which is our Heartbeats website, and we can direct you. There are so many ways to help this organization fund the things that need to be funded, and to help us grow, help us build the village. If there's anyone out there who feels that that would be their passion, everything counts. It all moves us forward, and we would be so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And a big thank you to our guest, Jen Resnick, with Patches and these incredible stories. The charity organization that is not only life-changing, but making a difference, and to help spread the word, because I think it's one of, I hope not best kept secrets, right? That we get that,
yes,
and after we get this show out, to share it and ask people to help and to support, and we're gonna post that video also on our Miami Woman of Rock and share that, because just the smiles says it all. And I can't thank you enough for being here today. Thank you for all that you do, and for doing it with such passion and purpose. And we said start with why, and you have a very big why. You have a big heart. So
thank you,
thank
Emily.
you for being
thank
on
you for
Spotlight
doing
TV.
This. Thank you for being here and giving us this opportunity.
Really enjoyed it. We thank you for joining us. We are in the month of February, so in the month of love, and also want to thank our production team, our producer Emily, and Michael and Grant, having community newspapers as our partner in producing this Spotlight TV every week. We are incredibly grateful. Have a